everyone. This is Alicia, and welcome back to the Eating Me podcast. I'm really excited for this week's episode. Cecelia Dowdy is here with us here on the podcast, and it's so wild. She reached out to me a while ago on TikTok, and listen, let me tell you something, y'all. Me in that inbox on TikTok, like I don't. Sometimes I think I know what's going on, and clearly I did not know. But she sent me a message a while ago, and I just saw it. I mean, not just saw it, but I saw it recently, and I was like, oh my gosh. Please forgive me. Me in the inbox, sometimes I'm not the best at it. But Cecilia is an amazing author, and we're going to talk about one of her books, but actually we can talk about, just the amount of books she's written. I'm so impressed. She was telling me, is it 18 books you've
Yes,
written?
yes.
Unreal. It's amazing. So I'm really excited to talk about her most recent book and then just about her actual, like your origins of like just being an author, like where all that came from. So thank you, Cecilia, for being here on the podcast.
You're welcome. I enjoy talking to people, so thank you.
Well, you are welcome. And so, like I said before, what got you into actually becoming like to be a writer? Like, what was the thing that was like, this is something I really am good at and I need to pursue?
Didn't really know if I wanted to be a writer per se growing up. I always
Right.
was a big reader.
Hmm.
So ever since I was a kid, I would always that was my favorite pastime was reading, especially during the summer.
Yeah.
And we didn't really have a lot of money. We
Uh-huh.
had some books, but that's not really enough. I would get upset when I would go to the library at my school. We would go like every few weeks and you can only check out 2 books.
Okay.
And that wasn't enough for me.
Right.
I would read a lot. So I started getting books from the bookmobile. It would come to my neighborhood and they would honk this horn. And I started just reading a lot. And then when I was in my 20s at work one day, I always had a book and I left my book at home. So during my lunch break, I didn't have anything to read. So I took a pencil and paper and I just started writing.
Hmm.
That was
That
that was how I started writing.
that is
Literally.
wow, that is so wild. And so from there, once you saw that you were able to do that,
Huh.
did you kind of like shock yourself? Like, oh, I can do
Well,
this,
I don't know. I wasn't good at first. I wasn't very good. I did like when I was a freshman in college,
Yeah.
my freshman English teacher did tell me, like when I would write my papers and stuff, he
Uh-huh.
told me he had like one-on-one conferences with us a couple times a year. He
Yeah.
said you need to he wanted me to change my major from finance to English. He said I could write
Mm.
well.
Right.
So, but I didn't have a desire because I just thought finance made more sense because I wanted to make some money to pay off my loans. So anyway,
Right.
I just kind of started doing it, and it was I made myself finish a book, like finish
Mm.
writing a book.
Right.
So that was disciplined. I had no training or anything on
Right.
writing a book. I just said, well, let me finish this book. I can't do anything until I let's finish the book. So I
Right.
would go to the library after work and write. I
Mm.
didn't have a computer back then. I'm old. I'm almost 60. So it's like back
Yeah.
when I was doing this in my 20s, I
Right.
didn't have a computer at home. I had one at work.
Right.
So on the weekends, I would take my pieces of paper that I wrote during the week at the library. I would go to my job and use the computer to type up the
Wow. Yeah.
papers. And then I got a computer later. But like I said, this is there was no internet back then. It was a long time
Right.
ago. So
That is
that's how I
so
got started, and then
uh
I was started talking to people, and I got a book called The Romance Writer's Peak Pages. My sister knew I was trying to do this, so
mhm.
she saw a book in the bookstore. Again, there was no internet, so it's a
Right.
long time ago. She said, you should I saw this book in the bookstore called The Romance Writer's Pink Pages. It's got all these places where you could submit your romance novel and everything. I got the book, and that's when I learned about the different publishers, and I joined Romance Writers of America as well because it was a community of people that band together with a common goal. And that's when I started going to their conferences.
Uh-huh.
It was like I was like had stars in my eyes, like Candyland type of thing. I was
Right.
with all these people, and that's when I noticed, hey, wait a minute, everybody likes to read like me too.
I love that.
So that's when it started. I kind of like started doing it that way. And that's when I found out about Christian fiction. When I was in RWA, there
Uh-huh.
was a group called Faith, Hope, and Love. That was a
Mhm.
Christian chapter at the time. Now, a lot of these things I'm telling you are no longer are changed or no longer existing or
Okay.
existing differently because RWA has been through a lot of changes.
Right.
Since shortly before the pandemic, so we won't talk about that. But anyway,
Right.
that's the way it was back then. I
Right.
found out about Christian fiction, and that's what started reading some of the books because it wasn't really, it was fairly new. Because like when I first started writing, I don't even know if it really existed. I
Right.
kind of found out about it through RWA, and I decided to go ahead and pursue that.
That is so cool. And the thing is, like, I'm really fascinated now with I did not realize, and this is to my ignorance, but I didn't realize that there were romance Christian novels.
Yeah, and that's how I found out. I didn't either. That's how I
Right.
found
Okay.
out through them. And initially, like I want to say when I initially started writing and
Uh-huh.
initially going, I don't know if it was really widespread, the Christian romances.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, they did exist. Now, sometimes another reason why people might not know about them, there was a line of romances called Heart Song Presents. They were published by Barber Publishing,
Okay.
and they were just mail order. Like you would people would get it again a long time ago. This is a long time ago
Right.
before ebooks. You would sign up for this book club and like you would get 4 books per month from Heart Song Presents.
Huh.
And then Heart Song Presents was the line of romances. There was 2 historicals and 2 contemporaries. So you
Mm.
get these 4 books every month. And then Harlequin, I don't know if you've heard of them. They're a secular romance publisher.
Okay.
They got in on the bandwagon. They said, "Well, we
Mm.
wanna do romances for too." So they started the line called Love Inspired, and that's
Wow.
Christian romances. And it's like they publish like maybe I don't know how many they publish now. Back then, they
Right.
were publishing probably about 2 to 4 a month. I can't remember. So yeah, those romance, and then there's other romances as well, but those are
Right.
the beginnings. Those are the what I remember from the very beginning. But yeah, they exist. And if it's written well, it's just as entertaining as a secular one.
Right.
To me.
Right. And I that's just I guess for me because I grew up pretty religious. Like I grew up Seventh Day Adventist.
Okay.
And so I think for me, it's just like growing up in like a religious like
Mhm.
a household, romance was not something that was talked about. Does that make
No, it
sense?
wasn't. I kind of understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I grew up Jehovah's Witness.
Okay. Yep.
So, my mom never really I it's kind of I know we're not here to talk about that, but, like,
Yeah.
I grew up sort of like, when I was around 12, my dad didn't like us going, so he stopped me from going, but I went from birth until 12, and he just
Right.
literally stopped. So I
Hmm.
stopped going. So
Yeah.
anyway, but the teachings are there, and my mom
Yeah.
talking to me is there. So
Right.
I did start reading secular romances because I didn't know of any Christian romances. I didn't see
Right.
any. I told you about going to the book deal. So
Right.
went and got I went and got secular romances. That's my introduction to romance. I would read
Right.
the secular ones. My mom kind of said something a few times about it, but what can she do? I want to read,
Right.
and there wasn't really a whole lot to do. She knew I wasn't acting upon what I was reading. There wasn't
Right.
nothing around.
Right.
We were kind of in this remote area. I'm black. I mean,
Right.
I lived in a mostly white area. I was the only
Yeah.
black African American female in my high school graduating class.
Okay.
And it wasn't like people were pounding out on my door to take me out on a date. So
Right. Yeah.
it wasn't like I think she just didn't really she kind of said something about it, but she didn't really like harp on it. I think she
Right.
kind of knew she sees me here every day and I'm not doing anything.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I read those. I did. I read
Right.
all kinds of secular romance. I preferred the historicals. I felt that they had better developed characters. So
Mm.
because they were thick, and I would get them from the bookmobile. And I would even started requesting different ones.
Right.
Some of the historical romance authors from a long time ago, like Rosemary Rogers,
Uh,
Kathleen Woolywitz. I didn't. If they did exist, the Christian ones, I didn't know about them.
wow.
I
Right.
wasn't aware. There might have been some back then,
Uh-huh.
and I just didn't know that they were there.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And plus,
Yeah.
no internet. I know I keep saying that, but the internet changed a lot. If you were
Right.
in a certain area, people flip out their phone and just start look. I had Encyclopedia Britannica, so if I wanted to find out
Yes.
something, I would look it up there. But other than that, there wasn't like I was at this house, at my house, in
Right.
my little trailer. We lived in a mobile
Yeah.
home, a trailer.
Right.
Information outside of the TV and stuff in the encyclopedia, it was very limited. So I
Right.
couldn't. You don't have access to information like you do now. So I didn't know of any Christian romances. I wasn't aware of them.
Right, and the thing is, I'm laughing because I'm thinking about my daughter. My daughter's 18,
Mm.
and so she says stuff to us like, "Well, maybe your algorithm when you were younger wasn't or whatever." I was like, "Do you understand?"
They don't there's no
There was
what
first of all,
algorithm
we didn't know what an algorithm was.
was?
There was no internet, like, and like you said, the encyclopedia was our life, like, in terms
Yes,
of trying to find out information and whatever we saw on TV. I was like, none of that was there. So everything you're saying, it resonates with me because I'm like, I'm always letting folks know, like, there was life before internet. Like,
yes. I mean, I think people interacted more. I've heard that a lot of kids don't really interact with people like they used
right,
to. We didn't have a choice. I mean, there
right,
wasn't we couldn't text anybody.
right,
You had to pick up the
exactly.
phone and call, or if they answer, there's no answering machine, there wasn't
Nothing.
anything.
Right. So it's like, okay, I guess I'll
If
meet up
they
with
don't
them.
answer the phone, they're just not there. I
Right,
mean,
and that's it, that's it. No, that's so funny. But what I was gonna ask too was as it relates to your because you were saying, like, the different characters, and
mhm.
it's like, "Oh, that's something really cool to ask." When you are writing or even before you started writing, character, like, development, did you take that based off what you were reading, when you started reading into romance novels, or was this something that you based your characters off people you already knew?
I didn't really know how to base characters on people I already knew. Not really.
Right,
I did. There's a process I would go through, and I did. I don't do it as in depth now because I've been doing it for so long. But what I would
right.
do, I would go through catalogs or magazines, and I would get pictures of people. Like if
Mm,
I'm looking through a magazine, like Essence, Ebony, I don't know, any of the magazines, or even
right.
Calendar or something that has people in it, I will, if I see a picture of a guy that I think is good looking, like a male
Uh-huh.
model or something, I
Right.
will keep it.
Mm.
And the same thing with a female. I'll keep the picture, and I would keep them, and I would those were my characters.
Wow, okay.
And then I would name them. I bought a book of baby names.
Uh-huh.
Like, if you're gonna name your child, I would go through the baby name book and give them a name.
Mm.
And then what I would do, I had interview questions. I had a writer's I don't know if you heard of Word of Writer's Digest.
Yes.
Yes, they have a book, and I still have it. I don't know where it is. It's around this house someplace. They have a book about building characters.
Okay.
Like, you interview them and stuff, and there was a list of questions, and then that you ask this person.
Mm.
And then this person, this person that doesn't exist, that's the picture, and to form a background for them.
Right.
And then when you do that, that's when the story kind of evolves as you're asking this person questions. Let's
Mm.
say, so I do romance. Let's say the the guy, maybe he was raised in foster care. Let's say he's raised in
Mm.
foster care and never had parents, and he's always felt unwanted and unloved.
Right.
That's gonna bring something to the romance. He's gonna have a set of issues. Or,
Right.
like, let's say the heroine grew up, maybe her mom has been married 2 or 3 times, the man always leaves,
Mm.
hypothetically speaking.
Right.
That will bring these, and then let's say these 2 people I just mentioned, they meet, and
Yeah.
they're attracted, and they can't resist each other, but you've got these emotional problems that will be roadblocks to prevent the romance from happening, but of course it's gonna happen. You
Mm.
always have a happy ending in a romance novel. That's just the formula that, well, at least
Right.
that's what I was taught.
Right.
Things change, so there might be some out there that are considered romance that
Right.
don't have a happy ending, but either happy for now or happily ever after is the way that
Eventually.
romance novels should end, where they're together happily.
Oh, that is so cool.
Mm, mhm.
I mean, I love this because I'm also thinking about, like, what got you into, like, I'm gonna write strictly because I know you said you read the romance, but there's, like, this is my niche.
Guess because that's what I was reading most of the time.
Okay.
I
Okay.
would read romance. Now, I read women's fiction too, but women's fiction usually had a little bit of romance in it.
Mm.
So that's just what I like to read.
Right.
So it just made sense. That's what I would write. And getting a publishing contract is very hard. When I joined Romance Writers of America and I started learning about it, I found that romance is easier to get published than, like, let's say, fantasy, sci-fi, or even children's books. I wasn't
Right.
interested in doing children's books, but I'm just saying
Right.
I heard because they have, like, with the category romances, like Harlequin having those books out every month. That's
Mhm.
a lot of books. Your
Right.
chances of getting a contract might be better with romance
Mm.
versus another kind of fiction. That's what I had heard anyway.
Right.
So that was another reason why, because I wanted that contract.
Yeah, no, I understand because, I'm thinking about as a because I'm also, an actress,
Oh, wow, okay.
and getting certain deals and things of that nature, it's like trying to navigate those spaces, it can be just overwhelming, and sometimes, like, you feel defeated in many ways. So
Yes,
it's like
that's the way it is, yes.
yeah, so it's like
And
when
it's
you
something, yeah,
find that what
creative, yeah.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's something like, it's like what you say, it's like the acting. Anything I consider the acting and writing and, like, being an artist,
Yeah.
I kinda lump them together. It's one of those things that's very competitive. It's not like getting up and going to work and being an accountant every day or something,
Yes.
or a nurse or something. It's not
Yeah.
regular. I mean, in
Right.
my head, that's not regular.
It's
It's
not.
hard, and you get rejected a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm also a nurse as well because
I'm an accountant.
exactly. It's like
Yeah.
you still need something to kinda
I
keep
need I
keep you
gotta
going.
eat.
Exactly, right? I
You have
need
to
I
eat,
need the
so
roof over my head, you know?
yeah, so that's why I did what I did. I've been wanting to write for years, and I did it, but
Right.
it never paid the bills for me, but I wanted to.
No, I completely understand that.
Yeah, yeah,
You were talking about the relationships and how, like, you're, like, building these characters, which I
yeah.
loved hearing talking about this. But you were saying, when you bring 2 different people together with whatever circumstances they have, they feel like they're a match, but
Mhm.
then there are barriers, right?
Yes, yes.
And it takes me to the book, your most recent book, The Blacksmith's Bride, right?
Okay, yes, yes.
Because I'm thinking about the 2 characters, the 2, love interests, and
Mhm.
how they both had these backgrounds
Right.
that seem so complex, but then it brings them together. And so
Mhm.
folks might be like, "What are you talking about?" But so can you, like, kinda give us a quick synopsis of this
Okay.
book?
Okay,
Yeah.
The Blacksmith's Bride, what I did for the this is the 3rd book in the series.
Uh-huh.
I took the 1st book, The Baker's Bride. There's a villainess in the
Mm.
Baker's Bride, the 1st book. I made her the heroine in this 3rd book. She's not very nice in the 1st book, and you don't have to read the 1st book before reading the 3rd book, but she's not very nice.
Right.
She's mean-spirited, but I had to vindicate her. I just had to. So, in The Blacksmith's Bride, she's a socialite.
Okay.
She's a black woman, she's a woman of color. Our parents had a lot of money. She lives in Philadelphia, and they do have a black elite up north like that. It
Right.
did exist back in the 1800s. And what I did, I brought her to a low point because she was
Mm.
always had a lot of money.
Right.
She's very beautiful, men fawn over her and
Right.
everything. And you could tell by her actions she just was not happy.
Mm.
So in this book, I bring her to the lowest of lows. She doesn't
Mm.
have any money,
Wow.
not even to eat.
Yeah.
She's going to the people that she wronged in the 1st book. They own a bakery because they're friends now.
Right.
They feel bad for her. She goes to them to get bread
Mm.
to eat.
Right.
She doesn't have any money because she got married, her husband was abusive. He gambled all their money away, and
Wow.
she lost all of her fortune, and so and he's dead. Her husband's deceased. He was killed. And so she's by herself and she has nothing.
Wow.
So that's I bring her down to her lowest of lows, and then the hero, and romance is not really on her mind.
Right.
She kind of thinks that she want to gets back to high society because what she's used to, because she's
Right.
been ostracized.
Mm.
Her friends don't really pay her much attention anymore. She doesn't
Wow.
have any money. She's not one
Right.
of them.
Mm.
So she's the lowest of the low.
Right.
So she wants to maybe get back into high society if she can. It's kind of her goal, but it isn't. You find
Right.
out when you read the book, she thinks that's what she wants to do, but it's not.
Right.
But the hero, he is a blacksmith. He has a daughter. The story begins with his daughter witnessing a murder suicide.
Mm.
And one of the people killed is her own mother.
Wow.
And so she witnesses, that's the way it starts. She witnesses this. and she screams and blacks out. And then I fast forward 2 years, chapter 1.
Right.
She hasn't spoken since that day.
Wow.
She's been mute. She'll communicate with her slate, but she will not speak. Her
Right.
father, the blacksmith, wants to give her a better life. He wants her to start talking again.
Mm.
He's gonna take her from New York to Philadelphia, and the people that I mentioned that give Francine the bread, Francine's the heroine, the people who get her bread, own the bakery, they're friends of his. He knew
Mm.
them. He knew the hero from the first book. He knew him through the Civil War and everything.
Wow.
He found a job in Philadelphia. They're relocating. And
Uh-huh.
I have him to be a quadroon. A quadroon is someone who's one quarter black,
Right. Right.
one African American grandparent.
Right.
He can pass for white. I do have him to have kinky hair, so when his hair grows out, it's kinda kinky.
Right.
A lot of times a black person kind of hesitates when they look at him. He looks like he could be kinda black, but
Right.
his skin is pale. He can pass for white, but he lives as a black man, and his
Mm.
daughter is dark-skinned.
Oh,
His daughter Esther is dark-skinned. So, yeah, so they when he comes to Philadelphia, that's when he meets Francine. He's not looking for romance. He's worried about his daughter.
right.
It was a matter of circumstance that bring them together. That's to say, and it's kind of nice when it's a matter of circumstance. Something happens to Francine, something traumatic, and
Mm.
her friends have to take care of her, and that's where the hero and his daughter, when they move to the area, they stay with those friends for a little while, and
Mm.
Francine ends up staying with them as well because of something that happened to her.
Okay.
And that's when they start because they were telling him to do stuff with her to help out, and he doesn't want to do it.
Right.
And he kind of so he's hesitant, but there's something that happens when they're living there together,
Uh-huh.
and there's a certain attraction between them. But she can't let go of wanting to go back to her old ways of being
Mm.
an upper class person. She wants to be part of that society, but to her it's familiar.
Right.
It's familiar to her, but that's she thinks it's what she wants, but it isn't.
Right.
I know deep inside she feels that's the way she should feel. That was what the catalyst that makes them explode. I have this explosive scene. It's so good.
I love it.
It's like almost like it's not at the end, but like maybe a quarter, three quarters of the way through, she
Right.
gets mad.
Right.
And another thing about I learned from, like, all these years of going to conferences. He sees her. He sees inside of her
Right.
something that she doesn't see herself, and it angers her. I
Mm.
think deep down she knows he knows what he's talking about, but
Right.
she can't admit it to herself, and that's what makes her so angry. So, it's a good book. I loved writing it. I'm not saying it's good just because I wrote it. I'm
Right.
just saying it's a good book. I really put a lot of time and effort into it. As of this time, it's got almost 100 5-star ratings on Amazon.
That's
So it's got
amazing.
yeah. So yeah, so I've been like really trying to get, drum up interest about it and everything.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's a good strong book. I really loved writing the Blacksmith's Bride, and I made sure that I did a dear reader letter for that book because I don't always do a dear reader letter. I
Okay.
didn't know if everybody would be familiar with the quadroon, even though I do mention it.
Right.
I didn't know if anybody would be offended because it's a term that's not used anymore.
Right.
Being a that's so I wanted to kind of mention that, and I wanted to mention about the dark skin, light skin.
Yeah.
I mentioned that because I don't know if someone is not of color and they read it, they
Right.
might not know because there was a character who says something negative about the hero's daughter being dark skinned.
Oh, okay.
It's like a
Yeah.
conversation you hear, but I didn't know if someone would be able to understand. So I did mention that in the Dear Reader letter, just in case somebody did not understand that,
Right.
you know.
No, that makes sense. That makes total sense, and I think that's so interesting that you, like, wove in, like, this whole, colorism component as
Mhm.
well,
Mhm.
because I think and this is me, and this might be the ignorance of me, but just even thinking about, like a romance novel, I would never think that they would go in that deep, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To bring in something beyond this, knight in shining armor saves this, or whatever, you know?
And I see what you mean.
And
Yeah.
I love that because it brings more depth
Right.
beyond and it opens people's eyes to something beyond, "Oh, I'm just gonna read this romance novel." Does that make sense?
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm
Right.
saying? I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That is so cool. No, I love that. Now, you have this is a series of 3, right?
Yes.
But then you also have, what, 15 other books?
Yeah, those were like it was a okay, those it's kind of confusing, but like those kind of came about like some of or re-releases from stuff that was published the regular way back when I was in RWA going to
Uh-huh.
different conferences and you meet with editors and agents and stuff, and I got the rights back to those books. So I would take those books and I re-released them, but then I started doing others to add to that on my own
Right.
independently under my publishing company Divine Desserts. So I just kind of I know for the Candy Beach series, I did that series because I like sweets and I like beaches.
Yes.
And I had
Okay.
already done bakery romance series because I like baking. So I said, well, let me do Candy Beach series. I like sweets and I like baking. So I mean sweets and I like beaches. So
Right.
that's the only reason why I chose to do the Candy Beach series.
Right.
I mean, I know it's a small little whimsical reason, but
No,
that's
but you know
why.
what? I think then that also whatever your interest is, then the story probably evolves beyond that, because if you're trying to create something just to think, "Okay, maybe these people like whatever," it has to come from somewhere within you, right?
Yeah. I believe so. Yeah, something within myself. I know for the first one in the series, Chocolate Dreams, I did that one because actually that one was redone. That one I know I sound confusing, but like I'm thinking about the book for the first book in the series. It was
Yeah.
published under a different title with a different cover
Okay.
before, and then it was published one way, and then the publisher published it another way with some other people. Other, it was published in a 3-in-1,
Okay.
and then I published it. But when I published it my way, I changed it. I looked through it. I'm like, oh, I don't want to tell a publisher this way. I've grown as a writer, so I made some changes, but I did that one because it's called Chocolate Dreams, but it used to be called John's Quest. That was the title that it used to be called.
Okay.
That one, I did that one because I worked at the time I was working at a place that had a lot of scientists, the American Institute of Physics. And when I was eating lunch one day, I don't know what's this up about me eating lunch and writing, but it happens. Stuff happens.
Right.
I was looking at the different scientists in the room,
Mhm.
and I was wondering if any of them didn't believe in God.
Mm.
Because I noticed a lot in the science community, you find atheists and agnostics. So I had the hero to be agnostic. He's a science professor. He teaches botany, and he's not sure if God exists. And she's a
Mm.
Christian. So
Okay.
that's the that was the conflict. One of the conflicts in that that story. I just
Right.
wanted to explore that because it wouldn't leave me.
Right.
Yeah, and I guess other books I've written like for the bakery romance, Sugar and Spice. That's one of my Christmas novellas.
Uh,
That one is based partially on my son when he was a little boy, like elementary school age, like toddler, like probably from like 3 to like 6 or 7, 3 to 7, 3 to 6. He stuttered a
okay.
lot. And so we had to go to therapy. We kept going to therapy. We had to go like twice a week. It was a lot. So
Right.
I remember asking the speech pathologist one time. I said, do you have any adult people? Because I only saw
Mhm.
kids and maybe a few teenagers. I didn't really see like grown up people like me,
Right.
coming in for patients. I said, do you
Right.
have anybody? And she said, I have one.
Mm.
She said, it's a man and he's been stuttering his whole life. And he
Wow.
is a C-level executive. And his stutter was
Wow.
like with meetings and stuff. They found it off putting and they asked him to go get help. And
Wow.
he was high up there in the
Right.
matter. And she told me this. She didn't give me his name or anything. I don't She
Right.
was speaking of confidence. So she told me that, and when I after my son was done with his session and we're going home, I it wouldn't it, stuff doesn't leave my head. It stays there, like it's not a
Right.
constant there, but like kind of like in the back of my mind.
Right.
It won't go away.
Right.
The man, it bothered me about this man. I said, well, this poor man,
Hmm.
what if he wants to ask a woman out on a date and he can't? What if he's so
Wow.
flustered he can't even ask a woman out on a date?
Yeah.
And that wouldn't leave me, and it grew into the
Mm.
story Sugar and Spice. He's a stutterer,
Right.
and he's been stuttering his whole life, and he wants to ask this girl out to be on to the Christmas ball, a Christmas party, a Christmas
Right.
formal Christmas party, and he's scared to, and plus, there's other things that go on in the story because she used to date his identical twin brother because his identical twin brother is a total opposite of him. He stutters, hard time with women. His brother's the opposite. He's a womanizer.
Mm.
So when he meets this girl, she honestly thinks that he's the brother that did her
Mm.
wrong. She didn't
Right.
realize he had a twin. So she's yelling and screaming at him, and that's when she kind of looks directly at him and like, why is he wearing glasses?
Right.
That's when it clicks that it's not him. So, but he has a thing for her. He likes her. So that's I kind of got that from that idea from my son when he was go do speech therapy.
That is wow. That is so cool. Like, just the way your brain works in terms of, like, oh, you said things don't leave you. I
They don't
love
leave you.
that.
They just kind of just stay there. I don't know why, but it's
Right.
not like it's hard to describe. It's not like you're sitting here talking. I'm sitting here talking to you, and you might think that, well, is she thinking about another question from like 3 years ago? It's not
Right.
a constant thought that way. It's there, but it's kind of dormant, but it's there. I don't know
Right.
how to really explain it. Do you see
Right.
what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
do. I totally see what you're saying. It's just like
Yeah.
certain experiences, it stays with you in a way that other things wouldn't,
Yes.
you know? Because like you said, it was rare that they have adults that seek this
That's
type
what
of
she told
therapy.
me. Like, I'm not a speech pathologist.
Right.
I know that's what she told me. She said she had this man,
Right.
and he's like, being a C level is pretty impressive. So
Right.
he must have been smart or have,
Right.
and he couldn't talk.
Right.
He had, well, I'm sure I did. He couldn't talk, but he
I knew
stuttered.
what you meant.
So
Yeah, no, I totally know
yeah,
what you meant. But no, and it's that for me, that would be something that's kind of like it sticks with you because it's like he made it this far with this, speech
right.
concern,
Mhm.
and yet, now is the time that he has to like you kind of like get help. You know what I'm saying? And I guess also that makes me want to ask about the character that you built from this individual. Did he ever get any type of help prior?
I cover that in the book,
Yeah,
and he said him and a friend of his are playing racquetball, and they afterwards they're like drinking water or something, and
right,
the friend asked him about that because he tells his friend about his concerns about like with his girl and everything.
right.
He goes, "Well, why don't you try and get some? Have you ever gotten help for your stutter?"
Yeah,
He said he had, but the people couldn't help him. The pathologists they couldn't fix him or whatever.
right,
But he says, "Well, why don't you try again?" So that I even had him to go to the speech pathologist office, and just to show how backwards I am sometimes, because like I've never had speech therapy. I would just
right,
kind of send my son back there.
right. It's like,
They're the experts. I wasn't in
right,
the room with him mhm,
right, right,
during the
right,
therapy session. I would sit in the lobby,
right,
and I noticed other parents in the lobby, so it wasn't like just me.
right.
I asked my son when I was
Hmm,
writing the book.
right,
I said, because he was out of the therapy. He'd been out of therapy. I said,
right,
when you come here, I have to ask you some questions about your speech therapy.
right,
He looked at me like I was crazy. Oh, yeah. Because it was years ago. And I said, what did they do when you were in there? What did
right,
they do? And you would think I would have been asking this back then. I guess
right,
I just took them. I don't know
right.
why
Just
I didn't.
trusted it was.
I trusted they
Yeah,
seemed to know what they were doing. So I didn't really go back. They didn't really invite me to go sit.
right.
And so he told me what happened. He
All
told
right.
me what they did. Something about reading books. He told me a list of things. I kind of used that as a basis for what
Hmm.
to do. What the pathologist did with my hero.
Right.
I based it on that experience because my son had three different ones.
Hmm.
He
Okay.
wasn't like just the same person the whole time.
Right.
He went through three different therapists. So
Wow.
that's a lot, and we were in
Yeah.
therapy so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started when he was still before he even started school, when he was still at the daycare.
Right.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much. So you were telling me earlier that you're
Mhm.
in the works of starting something. You don't have anything set in stone, but you're still out here doing your thing and writing
Yeah,
and
I have a it's a little bit of a different of a story,
uh-huh.
but it's about a woman. Well, the hero, it's kind of so it's gonna be like 4 people.
Right.
It's hard for me to talk about it. It's not I'm just 'cause I'm just sort of working on it now,
Right.
but I believe it's gonna be 4 people. The 2 main characters are old, like
Okay.
70.
Oh, okay.
Because I have another book called Caramel Kisses. That's
Uh-huh.
part of the Candy Beach series. It's book 0, where the hero and heroine are older.
Uh-huh.
I noticed that demographic from my research a lot of time is untapped. Like,
Mm.
that's one of my more popular stories is Caramel Kisses because of the hero and heroine are 70 years old.
Wow. Okay.
The woman, young woman, now there's gonna be a young woman that's like 25.
Uh-huh.
She's trying to leave a cult.
Wow.
CULT, a cult. So,
Yeah.
yes. So that's what I'm and the cult I'm built basing it on is totally fictional, so I'm
Right.
doing my little research about cults and everything, so
Right.
but she's trying to get out of it. She wants to leave, but
Mm.
it's all she knows. Let me
Right.
put it that way. It's all she knows, but she has her doubts about it. So,
Right.
that's basically what the premise is for this story.
That sounds really interesting because and it kind of like and not that like Christian romance would be a cult, but it's when you think about certain religions that are very dogmatic and it's like how you're twisting that into that, that's like
Well, it
that's
sort of goes back to my upbringing. It kinda goes back to there are certain religions that are considered that by
yes.
but the people who are considering it are people that know about religion, if I'm making any sense, like
Yep.
people who have, like, PhDs and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The powers that be that are the experts, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
they have a group of religions that are considered cults, and it's not necessarily that it's like this little a few people in the woods like Jim Jones. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Like when
Yes.
you have to drinking the Kool-Aid. It's
Right.
not like that per se,
Right.
although that
Right.
can be. It might be people that you talk to every day. You see
Right.
on your way to work or whatever. They're in regular society, but their hierarchy and what they're allowed to do and the reasoning behind it is not what the other non-cultic churches do, if I'm
Right.
making any sense.
No, you are.
It's different, and if you look at all the ones that they don't consider to be regular,
Right.
there's a pattern with them. I've been
Mm.
studying this, I know what I'm talking about. There's a
I love it.
pattern with them,
Yeah.
and there's certain things they can do and can't do, but there's
Mhm.
not really a lot of it's almost like someone is in charge and you have to do what they say
Yes.
or you're out. And
Yes.
I'm and that's that and what they say might be something that you don't agree with,
Yes.
and it might be something that they'll change 10 years later. And that let's say they change it 10 years later to something else, and what they change it to 10 years later is what you felt more comfortable with 10 years ago. Well, what you're telling
Mm.
me with this, it sounds better if it's like this 10 what they do 10 years later. You have to accept it at that point in time as they're
Right.
teaching it or nothing. It's all or nothing.
Yes.
They might even try and talk to you and try and get you to see it that way. But with me, I kept questioning.
Yeah.
I couldn't accept it.
Yeah.
They didn't answer the questions, and I had a lot of them, and there was no internet.
Right.
I was kinda like it's harder to do research. I was at the library all the time, it was a lot.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
at the library all the time trying to do research for this. There was no internet back then.
Right.
You can't just, like, reach out to this community of people who would know about why you shouldn't be with them. Do you
Right.
understand what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say? It
No,
was just
I totally
yeah.
do because I mean, I grew up Seventh Day Adventist,
Uh-huh.
and so there are some things there, and not all Adventists. So this be clear the air with that. But like, but there are some extreme folks within that religion, like there within any religions. And I saw that because I actually, for 2 years, I went to an Adventist university. And so you saw the different types of people, right? Because, we're all right there on that campus. So you saw the really extreme people. You saw the people just kind of, just regular, whatever. And so I completely understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
completely. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And even to the point of I recently watched a documentary, I think it was called Trust Me. It's about a cult that was it in Utah? On the border of like Utah and Nevada, I think.
No, I'm writing this down.
Yeah, let me look it up. I'm gonna look it up right now. I think it's called
No,
Trust Me.
okay, I'm putting a question mark. No, because I wanna watch it.
Yeah, yeah, it's called Trust Me, The
Uh-huh.
False Prophet. It's on Netflix.
Okay. Okay.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal. Because everything you were just saying, like, to the point of their actual leader was in jail, and he basically was sharing with them, like, while he was in jail, no one could have any type of, like, sexual relationship, married or not. Right, right. Okay, like, we're didn't we get married? Like, what
That's weird.
very weird. But then a new guy who decided to kind of take over
Yeah,
changed it. And then
I
everyone
see.
follows suit. So it's like what you were saying, things can change instantly.
Yeah,
And
and it's
now we all
like,
have to follow it.
what if you wanted to do what that second follower
Right.
said, and
It doesn't make any sense.
it didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand. And you mentioned false prophet.
Right.
That's another thing I had a problem with.
Mm.
The prophecies, I don't when you they're false prophets.
Yeah.
And they were telling me at the point in time because they changed it like in the past 10 years. I because I've been
Wow.
researching it for this
Right.
book I'm writing. When I was in college, they were dissuading me from finishing
Mm.
because the generation of 1914 was not going to pass away. Like
Wow.
anybody born like whoever was alive in 1914.
Right.
I was in college in the 80s, 84 to 88.
Right.
The generation of 1914 would not pass away. Like when Armageddon comes,
Right.
that someone from that generation is still going to be alive. So time is short. So wasting your time with this education, you're
Mm.
not going
Okay.
to be able
Yeah.
to use it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. And
Mm.
they were saying, and you're like, well, why would they just pick 1914? They had a way to do it.
No.
It goes with scriptures. But it's not like it's the scripture that says 1914.
Right.
They took different scriptures from different parts of the Bible and
Yeah.
pieced them together to come up with this. But if you
Wow.
research it further, which I did later years later,
Right.
it came from like the Millerites who greatly influenced them. They did the same thing, but instead of 1914, it was like 18 something.
Yeah.
But it didn't. Christ didn't come, and
Yes.
Armageddon didn't happen. They did it again. They were doing it then, and something when they were telling me about it, you had to really pay attention to what they were saying.
Mhm.
It was really convoluted. It
Yeah.
wasn't easy.
Yeah.
What they were telling you had to really pay attention. It was a lot of stuff. I'm thinking, and I think I'm smart. I said,
Yes.
I can't. I shouldn't have to work so hard in order to get eternal life. I don't. It didn't make sense that I had to believe
Say
that.
that. Yes.
I didn't even know. They said that I wouldn't have time to use it because of this, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. And then they'd had other false prophecies before.
Right. Right.
They're doing it this time.
Yep.
So I have to believe, but I would have to believe that at that time to be one of them. That's
Oh,
very wild. Yes.
yeah, it is. Oh my gosh. Cecilia, thank you so much for this. Before
Thank
we
you.
go, oh, you're welcome. Before we go, if you can let folks know, like if you like any like social media platforms that people can see you or websites, yeah, take it away.
Oh yeah, I'm everywhere. I'm on my website is ceciliadowdy.com. It's CECELIADOWDI.com. And I'm on Facebook. I don't remember. I think it's Cecilia Dowdy author. I have links on my when you go to my website, there's links to all the
Okay.
social media on the contact page. I
Okay.
have a YouTube as well. So
Okay.
subscribe to that if you can. And I'm on TikTok at CD Novelist. So if you go to ceciliadowdy.com backslash contact,
Uh-huh.
CONTACT, there will be links to all of my social medias there.
Awesome. And I'll share that in the show notes. This was
Okay,
a
okay.
great conversation. Thank you
It
so much.
was.
I love this.
Yes, I did
It-
too. It was
awesome.
great.
Thank you. And y'all, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Edie Podcast. I will see y'all next week. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.